welcome back to today's video. This is biology, nutrition, and this is our lesson 3. Hope you saw lesson 2. So if you are new to this channel, click on the subscribe button and click on the bell that comes immediately after you have clicked on subscribe button, so that you can get all the videos that I always upload. So when you subscribe, you always get notifications so that you don't miss any of my videos. So now in the previous video, our lesson 2 we looked at the digestion in the stomach, and we saw the enzymes that are found in the stomach that aid in digestion. We saw that there is pepsin enzyme and renin enzyme, and all of them they work on proteins. We also saw the hydrochloric acid that is found in the stomach, which provides the clear pH for the action of pepsin and the renin enzymes. So now, as I told you in the previous video, that we shall look at digestion in the duodenum. So immediately after food has reached in the stomach, it goes on to the duodenum. But we need to know what takes place in the duodenum, what kind of enzymes act on food. So now, the alkaline juice from the pancreas and bile from the liver, they are powered into the duodenum. So now, there we have the pancreas now has come in. So it is an alkaline juice that comes from the pancreas. So now, that juice, it contains 3 enzymes. The first one is called pancreatic amylase. So the first one is called pancreatic amylase. So now, this pancreatic amylase, we also have trypsin, and we also have pancreatic lipase. So there are 3 enzymes that are separated from the pancreas. So now, what does pancreatic amylase act on? Pancreatic amylase, it breaks down starch to maltose. So you should know this, that pancreatic amylase, its function is to break down starch into maltose. Starch into maltose. Then pancreatic lipase, the major function of pancreatic lipase is to break down lipids, or the ones that we call fats. To break down lipids into fatty acids and glycerols. Then for the case of trypsin, it is to break down proteins into polypeptides and amino acids. So that is the 3 enzymes that are secreted from the that comes in the pancreatic juice to the duodenum. So there are those 3. So they always ask questions, different questions, that the pancreatic amylase, what does it act on? It acts on starch too, and it breaks it down to maltose. Then the pancreatic lipase, it acts on lipids, or the fats, to fatty acids and glycerols. Trypsin is for proteins, and it changes them to polypeptides. Then the pancreatic juice, it also contains another chemical called sodium hydrogen carbonate. So now, these sodium hydrogen carbonate salts, this one is here, the sodium hydrogen carbonate salts. For these ones, they neutralize the acid chyme from the stomach. Remember, in the stomach there is an acid, hydrochloric acid. So it is neutralized by the sodium hydrogen carbonate that comes from the pancreatic juice with the enzymes. So they come together. So it creates a suitable pH for pancreatic enzymes to work. So because these pancreatic enzymes, they work well in alkaline medium, that's why the sodium hydrogen carbonate neutralizes the excess acid, because it is an alkaline. So we also have bile from the gallbladder. It contains salts, very many salts. So it contains very many salts. So here we have sodium chloride, we have sodium hydrogen carbonate, and these ones, they emulsify the fats and increase surface area for digestion. So the major aim of these salts is to increase the surface area for digestion of food substances. Also, many of the salts are absorbed in the ileum. So most of these salts, they are absorbed back in the ileum. So now, sometimes they can ask you a question that describe the digestion process in the duodenum. So now, when you ask those questions, you have to describe these enzymes, where they come from, and what each enzyme does, plus the sodium hydrogen carbonate. That is how the question is answered. So we have so far looked at digestion in the stomach, and now we have looked at digestion in the duodenum. So now, here we have digestion in the ileum. What happens immediately when food reaches the ileum? Ileum means the small intestines. What happens when food reaches in the ileum? So now, in the ileum, most digestion and absorption take place. The intestinal walls, they secrete mucus. And now this mucus, it lubricates the passage of food between its walls. And it also prevents enzymes from digesting the alimentary canal themselves. So, to prevent these enzymes from digesting the alimentary canal, because the alimentary canal, body cells are made up of proteins, and we have some enzymes which can work on proteins. So to prevent that, there is mucus that is secreted to lubricate so that they don't digest it. So now the intestinal walls, now they contain 3 enzymes. The first one is maltase, sucrase, and peptidase, or the one which we call erepsin. So now, maybe asking yourself different questions here. What do these enzymes do? Each of them. So now, we have enzyme maltase. This enzyme maltase, for it breaks down maltose to glucose. It breaks down maltose to glucose. Breaks down maltose to glucose. Then sucrase breaks down sucrose to glucose and fructose. Then peptidase enzyme, it works on the prepeptides from the duodenum and changes them to amino acids. So, hope you are together there. That is the function of those 3 enzymes. Now here we have a diagram showing, this diagram is showing the relationship between stomach, liver, and pancreas. So now, from this diagram, we can see very many parts. We have the esophagus. From the esophagus, immediately we come to the stomach. So food comes from here, the stomach. Then we can see the pancreas, where the other pancreatic enzymes come from, and the pancreatic duct is inside there. We also have the bile, and the duodenum is down here. So that is a summary of the drawing. So we have so far looked at the digestion process. In our second video, I think if you have watched it, we looked at the digestion in the mouth and the stomach. So we saw how the digestion processes take place in the stomach, in the duodenum, in the stomach and in the mouth. And now today I've seen what takes place in the duodenum. So now, and also have seen the ileum. So subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can get all the lessons. Let's go on now. Now here we're going to look at a summary of digestion of food substrate in alimentary canal, because that one was not a clear summary. So now we are going to look at a summary of these substances. So now, under the summary, we shall begin with digestion of proteins. What happens in the mouth? Remember that in the mouth, we don't have any enzyme as we looked. So in the mouth, there is only physical digestion, just by the action of the teeth, the process which we call mastication. So now, this process called the mastication is the only that acts on proteins, because in the stomach, we don't have any enzyme that can act on proteins. So there is only physical digestion made by the teeth by chewing, the one which you call mastication, like that. So now, what about in the stomach? In the stomach, there is also physical digestion of proteins, just by the muscular walls of the stomach when they are squeezing food. That is what we call the physical digestion. But the chemical digestion of proteins is done by the action of enzymes. And I think we saw these enzymes. What were they? Some of these enzymes which we saw. So the first one was pepsin, and pepsin breaks down proteins into polypeptides. So we have pepsin and renin. So pepsin breaks down proteins into polypeptides. Then renin coagulates the soluble milk protein into insoluble milk protein, as we saw. So now from there, the proteins now, because we're looking at proteins only, a summary of what happens on proteins. So now from the stomach, now let us look at the duodenum. What happens in the duodenum? Among the other enzymes which are secreted from the pancreas, the duodenum, which of them acts on proteins? So we have the pancreatic juice which contains trypsin. So now this trypsin, it breaks down proteins into polypeptides and peptides. Then in the ileum we have seen the enzyme called peptidase, and peptidase enzyme, for it breaks down peptides into amino acids, which is the end product of digestion of proteins. So the end product of digestion of proteins is amino acids. So this is a common question, that what is the end product of digestion of proteins? It is amino acids. So now, having looked at the digestion of the proteins, let us also look at the digestion of starch. What happens to starch and what is the end product of starch? So now, in the mouse, what happens in the mouse as we looked? So if you looked at the second video, our lesson 2, it discussed very well these things. So now our lesson 2 discussed these things very well, and now here we are going to look at the digestion of starch. What happens to this starch when they are being digested? So now in the mouse there is both physical and chemical digestion. Here we are looking at starch only. There is both physical and chemical digestion, and you know the physical digestion, how it is made. Just is done like the way how done for protein is made. It is by mastication. But the chemical digestion now is done by salivary amylase, the one that we call the ptyline amylase. So that one is the one which breaks starch into maltose. So in the mouse there is chemical digestion and physical digestion. Chemical digestion is made by ptyline enzyme. What about in the stomach now? So in the stomach, remember, there is no any enzyme present to act on starch. So there is no chemical digestion because there is no enzyme present to act on the starch. And remember, in the stomach there is an acid medium and is not suitable for the action of starch. So in the stomach, starch is not digested chemically, no enzyme present to act on it. What of in the duodenum now? Remember, the pancreatic juice secretes very many enzymes, and there now we have pancreatic amylase, and pancreatic amylase, it converts starch into maltose. So there is conversion of starch into maltose. So sometimes you can be asked to describe the process of digestion of starch in man, or they always pose different questions. You can find a question saying that a person ate posho and beans. Describe their digestion process. So you should know that posho is starch, then beans is proteins. Then now you describe the process of proteins and the process of starch, but you replace the word starch with posho and proteins with beans. So now let us look at the digestion of lipids or the fats. In the mouse, there is also physical digestion because there is no any enzyme present. So there is only mastication. Then in the stomach, there is only mechanical digestion. So chemical digestion is not there. Just is done by the contraction of the stomach walls and abdominal muscles. When they are contracting, when these muscles they contract, when they are contracting, squeezing food, there they are acting on them mechanically or physically. So there is no chemical digestion of lipids because there is no enzyme present to act on the lipids. It is not there. So there is no chemical digestion. And this one I have already looked at it. So now, what about in the duodenum now? What takes place? Remember, in the duodenum, we have 3 enzymes from the pancreatic juice. So there is that enzyme which we looked at called lipase enzyme. So this lipase enzyme, it converts lipids into fatty acids and glycerols. It converts fatty acids into, it converts lipids or the fats into fatty acids and glycerols. What about in the ileum? There is no digestion of lipids. So there is no digestion of lipids because there is no enzyme present. So now, vitamins, mineral salts, we have the vitamins like A, B, C, the mineral salts, water. They are the only food substrate that pass through the alimentary canal and absorbed in the body without being digested. So for those ones, they just pass without being digested. So don't go and tell people that I drank water and it was digested. No, it is not digested. For it moves directly and absorbed into the blood stream. So now, from today's lesson, we have seen the digestion of lipids. We have seen the summary of digestion of proteins, and we have seen that the end product of proteins, is amino acids. That one we have seen it very well. Also, we have also seen the digestion of starch, and under digestion of starch, I have seen that the end product of starch is glucose. So glucose is the end product of starch. Then we also have lipids. So the end product of lipids, as we have looked at here, is the end product of lipids, as we have seen here in the duodenum. For them they end in the duodenum. It is fatty acids and glycerols. I think we have seen it here. Fatty acids and glycerols. And we have also seen those ones that pass without being digested. We have also seen them. So now, thanks for watching. This is where our video is ending. Our lesson 3. Lesson 4 is coming. Please don't miss lesson 4. We shall have to look at more and more things. And also, as you can look here at the end of this note, there is down here there is a part of questions. So these questions, they are guiding questions. I already have them. So these guiding questions, they are the ones to help you when revising. How will you read? How are the questions set in examinations, in tests? So these questions are very important. If you want them, you just write in the comment section. Then I will send the notes to you via PDF. And you will also get a guiding question. So please, if you are new to this channel, subscribe and don't forget to share with your friends so that they can also acquire knowledge during this lockdown. So education does not stop. So continue learning online. If you have any question, write in the comment, share with your friends, and so we meet in our lesson 4. I remain Kamate Ntuyenabo. Thanks for watching.